I don't usually remember the anecdotes or quotes my dad has said over the years. However,
Ellery, you need to work 2 times harder than all the boys if you want to be their equal.
definitely was something that stuck with me as I went through years of being the only girl in my advanced math and science classes. And I wasn't mad, just I was confused, but now as I think about it, it just confuses me even more, but for a completely different reason. And what is the reason, you may be asking yourself? The reason is because women are just obviously better. No, JK. But gender inclusion will be the key for the next wave of scientific advancement. And here's why. To understand why gender inclusion is the key to scientific advancement, we first must understand what science aims to achieve and what hinders its progress. Science, according to Britannica, is any system of knowledge that is concerned with the physical world and its phenomena, and entails unbiased observations and systemic experimentation. It only makes sense that if science aims to understand the physical world in its entirety and complexity, it must aim to produce the most honest and genuine data. And that's where scientists' Achilles' heel comes in: information bias. Information biases distort the objectivity and fairness of scientific knowledge due to the lack of accurate measurements. While information biases can present themselves in many ways, the gender bias is a bias that serves to underrepresent women in the design of research and is especially pervasive. And this pervasiveness is especially bad for the scientific community, who aims to have the most accurate data on all types of human experiences. Gender bias shows up in many ways. For instance, women are 17% more likely to die in car crashes and 47% more likely to get seriously injured in car crashes than men, because test dummies represent the 50th percentile of men. Additionally, many modern medicines do not equally include women in clinical trials. 59 out of 86 FDA-approved drugs, 69% of drugs, showed that they had adverse effects on women's health. In fact, an infamous example of this is a drug called Addyi, a drug that was deemed as the female Viagra, which was supposed to treat hypoactive sexual desire disorder in women, but whose clinical trials consisted of 23 men and 2 women. And people wonder why it has a 20% success rate. When asked about gender bias in medicine, gynecologist Dr. Haveman explains it best.
People are very afraid to study women because of their hormones and their cycles. So definitely the studies more sparse than in other fields. Even hypoactive sexual desire in women is poorly understood because there is no Viagra for women, but there is for men. So there are definitely gender biases and differences for men and women in medicine.
Like Dr. Haveman said, people are afraid to study women because of their complexity, but that pushes the idea that women are variations from a norm, and the norm in this case is men. This notion needs to be challenged because if we continue to see the standard of human experience as a male one, we disregard the truth and objectivity in science, and we make it harder for us to understand each other. But there is hope. By having more gender inclusion in science and more female leadership in the designs and research process, we can help to alleviate these, dare I say, harmful gender biases. One of the greatest examples of this happened in 1991, when Dr. Healy became the first female director for the NIH, and she launched the Women's Health Initiative to study women's health where data was lacking, like in places like heart disease. And this shows that when we include more women in STEM leadership, science and data can start to learn more and more genuine data about the human experience, and thus better science. We include more women in leadership in STEM, we can create the next wave of scientific knowledge and further our knowledge of the world with better, less biased research, allowing scientists to better take on today's challenges and come up with better solutions for the future. Additionally, as we start to see more and more women in places of leadership in STEM, we will begin to confront the false narratives and biases that we hold that serve to explicitly or implicitly subjugate women. And we can start to transform notions of what it means to be a woman, allowing us to see the humanity and limitless potential in women more and more clearly than ever before.